Iridescent, which is obviously some dope shit. And it's
Right.
just like, yo, it's two different worlds almost, but it's like it still has that like Flower Child sauce on it. So can you talk a little
Right.
bit about your progression from like Reflections to Iridescent and like your new shit that you're working on?
Man, I didn't really know how to put it into terms like almost 3 years ago as far as Reflections, because I was that's when I was first starting off. I had went by like my regular name before I changed it to my alias now, which is
So you
Flower.
were Kevin
Yeah,
Brown?
just Kev Brown. That's
Word,
all it
yeah.
was, man. Just something real simple. Um, I had a feeling I was gonna end up changing it, but I wasn't 100% sure. Uh, but Reflections, man, as far as that project goes, it was definitely I would say that was when I first started to get my feet wet, and I learned a lot of shit about not only myself but other people, working with other people. Um, Again, time management, um, learning how to not take things personal. All of these things that you need to know as a developing artist, and man, as far as the creative process, when I was just working with people who I fuck with, I was always into reaching out to people who I didn't know personally, who I was a fan of their music. At that level, at that point, I was trying to keep it at a certain level, though. I was like, okay, I can't reach out to this person quite yet because
Right, yeah.
they just might not understand.
Mm-hmm.
But from that point, um, during that time, I was just kind of like working with friends in Atlanta who I thought were dope. James Bamboo was Succulent. My
Man,
manager knew him
that,
personally.
hold on, let me interrupt you, man. My first intro to you was Succulent, and I
Okay.
heard that shit, and like it was a week where I had was only smoking blue cookie, and so I had gotten mad into chopped and screw music, and I heard Succulent, and I was like, first of all, what is this silky ass fucking shit? Like I had never heard anything like that before. And then to just like through like looking through your profile and everything and to see your connection to James Bamboo, man, like Succulent's a hell of a first introduction to Flower Child, I think. But I'm sorry, I digress. I digress. Continue.
No, you're good, man. You're good. That song, I wouldn't say that was the one that changed my life, but that was the one that just kind of gave me an intro to this shit, you know, on a grander scale, I should say,
To doing
because
numbers.
yeah, man, like that song, like, outside of the other shit I did with the other artists on that EP, shout out Devin Tracy as well, because
Facts.
he's incredible. That was one of the artists who I reached out to outside of Atlanta. Shout out Yanni Mo, shout out Hadia as well, and my boy Alex, and Honey. Uh that one, man, like 2017, I made that beat, right, in my dorm room. Um and then I recorded a voice memo. I started writing to it. Um, and then I was like, okay, I know I wasn't super comfortable in my writing. But when I sent it to James, I think we had tried to collab earlier that year, like it was January 2017, but it didn't work out. Just a lapse in communication. But September of 2017 is when I like shot it to him. I was like, yo, like I'm working on a project. Would love if you could get on this one or whatever. And I sent him the beat and he loved it. And then I sent him the voice memo. He was like, yo, like this shit is, he said, I love it even more now. So he was like, do you mind if I add this as an extra onto my project? I was like, sure, bro, go for it. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, like, he drops a single, then Succulent is the next one. And then he calls me around that time when it drops. We're getting pretty good feedback. Um, and he was in contact with somebody at Colors, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, they're deciding between this song, and another unreleased song." And I can't remember exactly how the story went, but I know whoever was playing it to give the final approval somebody else who was around them like turned around and was like, "What is this?" And then that was like, okay, yeah, we need to get him over here to Berlin and like perform this shit.
That's
Um,
fucking crazy.
yeah, man. Yeah, that song, like I want to say, that was the one that kind of got, I got my feet wet for sure. I always like to use this analogy. Um, music is like you're trying to find this one place, right? And you find the door, you get your foot in the door, it's dark as fuck. You're trying to find that light switch, you know what I'm saying? But once you find that light switch, you start walking around that bitch. You're like, okay, I'm here now.
Right,
You start
yeah.
making yourself comfortable. You start, and once you start making yourself comfortable, I feel like that's when you really start making a name for yourself and your brand. Secondly, I felt like I wasn't quite at the doorstep yet. But when I want to say after that, I started working on Iridescent Love. And that's when I told my manager, I was like, man, fuck it. I'm just about to start reaching out to people who I'm a fan of. You know, that was that process was, you know, prepping me to not take shit personal. You know what I'm saying? Like Reflections kind of helped with it, but Iridescent Love was the one where, you know, my whole mindset is like, okay, I don't stress shit I can't control. And like I literally, yeah, I I don't be taking
Yeah, and
shit.
it's like, yeah, you can't. It's so just on the not taking things personal. Was it more like you were reaching out to people and then it's like shit was falling apart, or was it like rejection? Like, talk a little bit about that.
I would say it was a combination of I wouldn't say falling apart so much. We'll get to that on this project. Uh I would say it was more so about me reaching out to fucking over 50 people and getting no's or no responses. And
Shit.
that's a lot to deal with as an artist because you're sending out your tracks to you get
Yeah,
I
you're
have a manager,
sensitive
but my
about your
manager
shit.
doesn't do this. Bro, like, a lot of people, a lot of managers try to act as like gatekeepers, which I understand. You want to make sure that you prioritize what your artist wants to do. But me personally, I like artist to artist contact because it's the most genuine and we can have a conversation about what we want to do versus me hitting your manager and your manager just telling me no, you know?
That's something that I've noticed kind of being like just outside of the industry, is that it's like a lot of fucking managers that think they hold the keys to the kingdom out here and
Yeah,
are
that's not
like
the case.
are like shutting down like legitimate collabs that could like really change shit around here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
bro. Yeah, man, and it's crazy you say that because flip side to that is the art music. You know what I'm saying? I feel
Mhm.
like that really has really stood the test of time, man. And it's like after dealing with all those no's and no responses, I just got used to it, bro. Like I just got used to it. You like I
That's
just like after a while you become numb to some shit and you're like, this no means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like they say no, this doesn't take away from my value and who I am as an artist because as long as you're confident in what you're doing and you know your trajectory and you have like, other things to back up um where you're trending, you have nothing to worry about as an artist. I guess for whoever's watching that, just stay the course and really trust the process. That's been my biggest thing for the last couple years, actually. Um,
you're dropping some gems today, man. You're dropping
hey
some
man,
gems
I
today, man.
look. I would not have been having the same conversation a year ago, and it's like it's so much. I've grown so much as an artist because with my level of professionalism, how I speak about these things, because I know a lot more and I've experienced a lot more. And they always say experience is the best teacher. Always. You know
Facts.
what I'm saying?
Facts.
Yeah, man. But as far as Iridescent Love went, a lot of those features were again people in Atlanta, but I want to say which ones weren't. So I had Mia Gladstone, James Tillman, and Shook Savage, who were the features that
Man, that EP had some helly features on it, bro. It's like
And
that lineup is like fuck. It's like that's I think that's what I appreciated most about Iridescent Love is that it's kind of like, and considering because I had to like stalk your Twitter and shit, and considering like people who you've put
no,
out
for
to be
sure,
your
man.
influences, like the neo soul is there in the production, which is your end, but it's also there in the vocals, which is like, can you talk a little bit about that? Like how you work with other people to get your vision like fully realized?
That's a great question. So anytime I'm reaching out to an artist, I don't try to go so much so to people like who make exactly what I make. Well, first of all, I feel like there's no one who makes what I make. I feel like each artist has their own individual sauce. Um, I what I've tried to do um, in creating a lane for myself is try to meet somewhere in the middle between my sound and what the other artist's sound is. So like, you know, Mia Gladstone, I can't even put a label on her music. I hate to do that in general, but obviously like we have some similarities in our sounds. Um it's I think it's about even. We have some differences, but we also have some similarities in our sound. Um
I
but
mean, when I listen to, I mean, the intro track on that, it's like yin and yang kind of working
bro,
together, and it's like,
yeah, and that's what I tried to do, man. It's like I had heard Mia's music. Backstory to that, how I met Mia. I had never met Mia before. Before we even made that track, I didn't meet her until after that project was out, actually. But I I reached out to her because we both opened for J on his tour run, and I was just curious to see who else was opening for him because I'm a nerd and I just like to discover new artists.
word.
And yeah, man, she was like super receptive to it. Like I just reached out to her, like, and bro, before I even like, you know, before I even hit her email, she was just on some shit like, yo, like y'all need to go check this man out, you know,
Word.
dope. So off rip, I was like, damn, she's showing love already. I was like, shit, I had already planned on like, I needed an intro. Like that was the very last track I made for Iridescent Love. And I was like, okay, I feel like she can, I was working on this loop, man. And I couldn't really find any chords for it, which is kind of rare because I have like my go-to sauce and then I like to try to switch it up sometimes. But Alex Hasselman, that's like my brother. He's an incredibly talented
Shout
guitarist.
out Alex Hassel Music. Facts.
Yeah, man, he's crazy. So I came up with all the chord progressions on the project, right? Except for the intro, we just went back and forth on each chord. Like literally every chord we went back and forth on, and that was like one of the best collaborative experiences I've ever had. And the bridge on that, I was like, okay, yeah, bro, I think we got something here. And I sent it to Mia, and she was like, yo, this is some of the craziest shit I've ever heard. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just trying to make something that I had never felt before and never heard before. And that's always my goal. I'm trying to create something new. You know what I'm saying? And that's really how that came together, man. She just artists. I just kind of, like I said, meet them halfway in the middle, and she did her thing, bro. Like
She did her fucking
she went
thing.
crazy on that shit. Yeah, bro. And then Shook Savage, that one came together pretty nicely. It's crazy, man, because uh, that beat wasn't the original beat for that song. I had made something else, bro, and it was like I want to say like 3 beats slower, and it was like super funky. But I was listening to some other shit on SoundCloud. I was like, nah, I'm inspired. I'm getting inspired by this, so maybe I should like go a different direction. So basically, bruh, that was the first time I actually like remixed my own shit. If that makes any sense.
Wow. Yeah.
Y'all would have
Yeah.
never known that had I not told y'all, man. But it's like,
That's crazy.
I created around her vocals that she had already recorded to the last song, and I was like, okay, like I'm fucking with this. That's how that came together. And man, last but not least, man, my good friend James Tillman, bro. That man is
Tillman
incredible,
is talented.
bro. He helped me kind of like he helped me in so many ways, and that man, I can't even put it into words like how grateful I am for him, because Love to You like really changed my life.
Love to You, man.
That song changed my life, and I got a lot of recognition from that song. He was somebody I started listening to, man, I want to say a year and a half before that, like a year before. I was just a fan. I was like, the Silk Noise Reflex album, that's one of my favorite albums ever, by the way. And I was like, this is insane how this album is kind of like, I don't like to use the term underground, but it's not mainstream, obviously. I feel like that's definitely like an indie classic for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I was like, man, fuck it. Like, I had this beat, I had been sending it out to so many people, and that was when I was like, I started to get a little discouraged. I was like, maybe this doesn't need to be on the project, you know what I'm saying? But I felt like, that beat was special,
Yeah.
and people were just kind of like saying no to it. I was like, damn, oh well, I just got to keep trying, I was like, let me just reach out to James Tillman.
And you fucking,
and man, like when he responded, my mind, when he responded, my mind was blown, because I was like, I had to like do a double take. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, this man actually responded. I was like, dope. Okay, cool. And he was very responsive, man. Like, his communication was on point. That's something I've dealt with a few artists, like, where it has not been the most enjoyable experience, but he was like on top of his shit. He wanted to have a conversation about it, like, for the direction of the track. Bro, he was just so receptive to what I had to say, and he didn't try to sun me at the time, because a lot of artists, they'll try to do that shit, like, oh, you're at this level, so I can't fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? He was just on some shit like, it's about the music. And bro, I wasn't on shit like Spotify. Like, I was still legit on Spotify.
Yeah.
Like, I hadn't had any songs, I want to say, reach over 50,000 streams at the time. So that's when, when we started discussing that. And he's such a fucking nice guy, bro. One of the most genuine people I know. Like, but once the record came together, I added, shout out Tanya too, because he was on like 3 tracks on that project. He just bodied everything I gave to him. We added background vocals, and then that little outro section, I made that after the song was done. Yeah, man. Shout out James Tillman. Like,
shout out James Tillman.
Great guy,
facts, yeah.
That's my guy right there, man. But yeah, that song was the one that blew the doors off of everything, because it kind of like, before the EP dropped, it wasn't doing as well as I expected it to. But when I went to New York and I linked with James in early June of 2019, he was like, bro, it's going to be fine. Like, it'll pick up, just be patient. And it sure as hell did. As soon as I dropped that project, man, like, that shit, like, got added to different playlists, like, and it helped the project overall, and yeah, bro, here we are now,
yeah, man.
Yeah, bro.
It's like,
it's crazy.
It's crazy how much ass Iridescent Love has gotten me as a fucking EP.
Oh my god. Yo, shout out to you. I've heard that quite a few times, man.
Man, it's one of those projects where it's like, you know what I'm saying, where it's like you're with a shawty and you're like, I mean, I like different shit, you know what I'm saying? Like let me play a little Love to You real quick, or let me play a Feel the